Hi folks, welcome back to the Hoard. So I showed you guys that I hauled that traffic sign out of the bushes, and some of you were asking when are you going to do a cold start, or why didn't you do a cold start? And quite honestly, the answer is, after sitting for 10 years, I wanted to check out a few things. I didn't want to damage it worse than it was damaged from sitting for 10 years. So I put a different gas tank on it, because once again, the fuel is, I didn't put fuel in it the 10 years I had it, and God knows how old the fuel was before that, right? So I really wanted to do a different gas tank and clean diesel and so forth. And the way it worked is, I smashed this Honda tank on there. You guys like that? I turned this Italian rig into a Honda. So the fuel comes out of the bottom of the tank, and I have this electric fuel pump here, and you can see where it goes up into the pump to pump up the diesel before it goes up into the injector. Anyway, what I did is, you can see it's a little wet here. I undid that, and I purged a bunch of the diesel into this jar, and you guys could see it's a bit dark. It might be fine. It probably is fine. Diesel fuel keeps quite a while, but you know, if I pump bad things up into the pump and injector and destroy them, that's not getting me anywhere good. So anyhow, so that's all clean. This thing also has a return line on it. Comes out back here and goes down and around and under and back in here. So I had to drill a hole in the gas tank and put the return line into it. So I did that. I checked the oil. There's the oil stick right here. I smashed the battery into it. And I didn't start it, but I turned it over a couple of times. You can see it's a cold start. Just to make sure the cables were tight and so forth like that. So before I started though, let me just take a quick look to make sure I'm not, you know, going to have like something get out of the way. You'll also notice one other thing. There's a piece of rubber right here. So if the camera goes dropping to the ground and you see me doing this, that's because for some reason something's wrong and it's running away, right? It could be, I don't think so, because this is the off. You pull that out to turn it off, and it seems to be moving freely, as you can see there. So I don't think it's going to, but just to be careful and sure, if there is an issue, I got that rubber thing to smash over the air intake right there to shut it down. I mean, obviously, I'll turn off the engine, which turns off the fuel pump, but I don't know how good. I mean, if the fuel is continuous, I'm not sure how strong this pump is. If it's strong enough to pull through the fuel pump and the gas tank and continue to run on that. I'm hoping if I turn it off, that'll shut the fuel down. If I pull that out, it'll shut the fuel down more. And if worse comes to worse, I put that thing over it. If you guys, some of you might not be familiar with what it means when a diesel runs away. Diesels are governor controlled in there, controls the amount of fuel that goes into the injector, and basically it takes air in wide open. So as you put more and more fuel into this thing, it'll spin up more and more, right? Because the explosions are getting stronger and stronger, and eventually bad things happen. Like the piston comes out of the top of this thing, or out the bottom of it, and it sprays you with hot oil and, you know, flying metal, and you know, pretty interesting if you're trying to put together a horror film, but not so cool if you're trying to put together a diesel for a future cogeneration project. By the way, this is a Lombardini LD 6LD260. Made in Italy. So, there we go. You guys are probably bored by now and want to hear the engine run. So the first thing is when you turn this on, you'll hear the fuel pump start clicking, which is a good sign. But then you push that button and hopefully the starter goes around. Right, it's off, it's off. Seems to be running up against the generator. It's not horrible noisy. It is smoking a little bit. Well, I guess it is noisy. Want to try the sign out? Let's first we turn the alternator on. So now it's charging the battery, and then I guess you turn this on. So it does that. I don't know, let's see what else it does. That is cool. I like that. I don't know why. I'm a moron maybe, but I like it. I got some dead light bulbs. That lower one and that one right there should both be on. Caution bar wreck. Once again, that lower corner is burned out, but the other three are lit. You can hear the engine tone change a little bit as the light flashes. You guys hear that? There we go. So my diesel, look at that. That was fun. I actually enjoyed that. The way your diesel works, obviously you have no spark, so the trick is to make sure you have good clean fuel going up into the pump and the injector. From sitting around, I mean, I was able to make sure the fuel was clean from here to there because I didn't want to tear the whole thing apart. But I did, you know, and once again, as you could tell, I don't know, That's some pretty dark stuff. I like it. Some things look like they can use some attention, like those lines look like it wouldn't hurt to redo those. I considered this, or I'm still considering it, for a cogeneration project. There's matter of fact, one of my buddies up in Vermont had one of these. He ran on vegetable oil, Hillbilly Homestead, and he used to use it to power his camp, right? You just tow it up there, it was full of vegetable oil, fire it up, and it's running and you're generating electricity. I mean, if you put a 100 amp alternator on there, as a matter of fact, you could put two. You could put one there, and off of this side you can belt drive it and put a second one on there. Anyway, with two 100 amp alternators on it, you could get yourself a couple of 1,000 watts worth of electricity, more than enough juice to keep your batteries charged, and everything else you could want to do. Quite a couple of 1,000 watts there, you know, more than enough for a camp. You could fire up a microwave on about 1,200, so you put a nice inverter on it, and you got it made for everything you want to do. But I was thinking of going further than just generating electricity. I was figuring, you know, with this oil canister thing here, one could create a heat exchanger and a fan and actually get some heat off of it, though it feels like most of the heat's coming off the engine. Yeah, cool project. I have two of these. This is the one I bought first to get it to run, and the person who sold me this one wanted to keep the second one for the trailer, and as a matter of fact, he already cut like these off. He already cut the sign off. All the other one has is the cover over the engine and the trailer. The rest of the engine's complete except for the pump. The pump's missing from that. And as a matter of fact, now that I got this running and all, I can take my little gas tank, dig up another pump, and give that one a try next. That one also has more hours on it. Anyway, what he wanted to do was use the trailer for carrying water. He had one of those 250 gallon, those 130 gallon water cubes, and he was going to sit it on the trailer. He did the measurements, it would fit right on here. 130 gallons, what's that, a little 8 pounds per gallon. So you're looking at like 1,100 and change pounds. So this should be able to carry that. This is probably good for, given the trailer doesn't weigh too much, it's probably good for, you know, 1,400 pounds, right? You just got to keep the whole thing below 2,000. Anyway, so what ended up happening is I had another trailer that I gave him that was, he thought he could put 2 water cubes on. He was using it off-road. So I gave him another trailer and a few bucks, and he took the hook, it had a ring hook on the end here. He took that off the other one. The other one, as I mentioned, I think has 2 or 3 times as many hours as this one. So anyway, this was fun. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I think it's cool. I have no experience. I have very little experience with diesels. I mean, I know the concepts, but I really, other than my Kubota in the shed here, then I'm careful with the fuel and all. I really have very little experience. I assume that one should just make sure you keep the fuel as clean as possible, the filters as functional as possible, and you know, you change the oil and do all that trivia to them. They probably should last forever. Given that this thing was built and meant to live in a construction zone with all kinds of dirt and noise and heat and, you know, people paving around it and kicking and beating on it, I'm assuming that this is a pretty tough setup. I mean, it lived through everything it lived through, and it's still alive now, and I imagine they built them to go for a long time. So I'm thinking this is another nice toy for the Hoard. Anyway, folks, you're tired of hearing me talk by now, so let me wrap this up. Folks, I want to thank you all for watching and commenting and subscribing. Remember to keep your feet down, keep your heads up, and please, please get out there and enjoy all your days. Bye now, folks.